sit in the cars yet that wants to? Yeah, it'll be here until, most of the end of the event. So it's not going anywhere without me. So that's just how we roll here. Happy holidays from the Gravity Group. Obviously, we have an exciting ride in our backyard. Finally, most people in the Midwest don't have a Timberliner train ride near them. And so it's like, hey, now all you need to go is, I don't know what I just said, that was kind of cool. But it was trying to say something like, all you have to do is go down I-71 and don't go through the speed traps. But so yeah, we're totally excited about Kentucky Kingdom. They covered all that that we need to know about the Kentucky Flyer right now. And I'm not going to be talking about Kentucky Flyer for the rest of the presentation, except if it pops up randomly. So yeah, let's go to the next slide. Do you have a clicker? The white button, don't press the back button, right, Jason? Yeah. So here again is our Gravitry. You might have seen pictures of this from previous years. That's our front office there. Here's us at Fun Spot in Orlando. That's actually last year. How many people have been on Mind Blower? Oh, come on, guys. Are you guys stuck in the Midwest or something? I thought you guys call yourselves real coaster enthusiasts. No, we're go ride Mind Blower. You won't regret it. It's kind of a voyage mixed with Rorosaurus. So it's a very compact, very intense ride. Lots of airtime. So I love Stricker's Grove. It's local to me here, and so this is me and my family. So my oldest in 2013, that's Louisa, and this is my middle daughter, Clara. That's my wife, that's not a daughter. So this was Louisa's first roller coaster, the Teddy Bear. And so that was in 2013. This is us this year, 2018. We have 3 kids now, holding at 3. So this is Louisa, that's the oldest. And Annalise is our youngest, and she got to ride Teddy Bear for the first year. So that was her first roller coaster. So these are the fun shots. So the Teddy Bear was the first wooden roller coaster for all 3 of them, and that's really cool. Apparently, PowerPoint likes to respell things. So the Junge. It's Norwegian for youngest. So yeah, that's. But yeah, this we're really happy that Annalise. She was actually plenty tall before, but she's just 3 now. So, but what's cool, I am going to mention Kentucky Flyer because, let's see, when Louisa was 4, she was able to ride Rorosaurus and Wooden Warrior. This past year, we took a trip out to Oscar's Wacky Taxi. So my oldest 2 got to ride Oscar's Wacky Taxi. Technically, Annalise was at the right height limit, almost, to ride Oscar's Wacky Taxi. But because she's only 3, I was like, it's a little too much for you. So we're going to wait for Kentucky Flyer to be your first Gravity Group ride. So that was excitement there. So this year, we were on 2 continents. Wood Express over in, it's just about an hour north of Paris, France. Super awesome, kind of double out and backy, airtime monster kind of thing. And everybody who's been on it is just completely raving about it. So it's not that big of a ride. It actually kind of has some similar statistics to Kentucky Flyer and maybe some similarities. Obviously, Kentucky Flyer has a very different nose car on it than Wood Express. But we should be able to play the video now. Switch over to that. The video embedded in PowerPoint can work sometimes.
I couldn't see that woman's boob bouncing.
You saw that. As you can see, it's full of airtime. There's crazy amounts of airtime on this ride. I know it's a little repetitive, but isn't that great about airtime? So similar to Kentucky Kingdom, the rest of the park has like 5 or 6 other roller coasters. This is the largest of their roller coaster selection, though. They're most notable for there's a few different PAX rides at the park that are the Russian rides. They're really wacky. If you have long hair, that will happen. So the Wood Express, they wanted to put in a big signature ride. It's a small park, like I mentioned. The owner is a showman, and he used to run a traveling fair over there. And he just got tired of traveling, I believe. And so he's like, I'm just going to set up a park. And so he brought in a number of other rides and set up what rides he has. He also has tigers. There's actually a tiger cage, like a couple feet from the roller coaster. So when we were building the ride, it was like, hey, how's it going? Tony, I believe, was the name of the tiger. So obviously over in Philadelphia, we had a big ride, or a big small ride open for us. We got contacted by SeaWorld Parks and Entertainment, who runs Sesame Place, and said, hey, we got a small spot of land. We want a really awesome ride. You guys seem to be the right people for that. So we put in a ride. They loved Wooden Warrior and all the other small rides that we've done, and said this is going to be perfect for our clientele. But, there's a big but, we have to get our height requirement from 42 inches down to 40 inches. And so the difference between 42 and 40 is actually pretty big. When you're talking about ages of kids, we're talking about dropping the ages, average height and weight and age down from like 5-year-olds down to 4-year-olds and even 3-year-olds. And so you have a cognition aspect of that and a physical aspect of that. And so what we did is this is last year, actually about this time, we started ramping up a whole bunch of stuff. We actually ended up probably having 30 or 40 kids in our shop with a bunch of different iterations that we could do to modify our current restraints to attain that 40-inch height requirement. Now, if you look at a 40-inch kid, there's just not a lot of body mass or body structure there to hold on to. And so what we were able to do is observe how they can contort their bodies in this Houdini kind of escape method and, free themselves of whatever is restraining them, particularly with a bribe of a candy bar or money. So we had a bunch of different iterations. We had a bunch of different ideas that we thought might work, but then we kind of started observing, and we ended up creating a restraint, which is actually on our Kentucky Flyer car back there, some modifications that were enabled us to drop our height requirement down to 40 inches. A company, Co-Pilot, I believe, is the word Jesse used earlier today on Kentucky Flyer. So 46, you can ride by yourself. The little story there of when we were able to achieve that design change, Brian Kosmak, which many of you guys know, his kid was in that height limit, and even throughout the process, we had kids age out of it because it kept growing. It's like, oh man, you're not a test subject anymore. You're too tall. So Brian's son, he was a pro. He was like, I know this car. I've been in and out of this car all this time. And so we get to this final design iteration, or we were hoping it would be the final design iteration. And he's doing all of his typical tricks, and he's not getting out. He's like, he's really getting frustrated. And he's trying to do all these other things really quickly, and he looked up, and he just slumped in his car. He's like, I can't get out. And we're like, yay! So that's when we knew that we had a very successful restraint system. And so, I took a family trip out there. So there's my medal on the first gravity group ride that she was able to ride. So that's Clara. So that was good times. So if you haven't watched a POV, we're just going to watch a POV because it's fun. And I thought we had sound. You really don't want to hear me narrate through this whole thing. There we go. Slimy is the worm's name, in case you aren't up to speed on your Sesame Street trivia. It was a very critical part of the design process, was Slimy's shape. How was your ride on Oscar's Wacky Taxi? So how many people were able to make it out to that park this year? A couple hands, cool. Did you guys give it like what, a C or a B rating, or how about an A? A? Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Best new ride of the year. Yeah, Tony's gone, so we can say that. It was the best new ride of the year, even though the golden tickets may say something different. So yeah, I thought the green structure really added a real nice flair to it. Phoenix was green at one time, by the way. It's no longer green, Dave. Dave and I had this discussion last year that the Phoenix was green, but it's actually no longer green. But I don't know, whatever. Maybe they painted it again this year. I'm rambling. So this next video is a cool little video. And this is actually the transfer device that we've come up with. Actually, we started in 2011. So you can do really tight turns, and you can have these little spur tracks. So there's one here. This is on Oscar's Wacky Taxi, and there's another one right there. And so it's a little like Firehawk, a little bit like your model train spur that goes back and forth. We call it the flip-flop, because it kind of looks like a flip and then a flop. And so here's the scram train. There's a scram train and a I Love Trash train. So this is coming out of the storage back into the ride area. So one of the things that SeaWorld wanted with this ride is to have both trains in the maintenance facility in the morning so that they can maintain both trains right at the same time. Often the storage facility is just set up for one train, so you have to swap the trains, and so they're like, nope, we want both, and so we ended up putting a flip-flop to just determine, or to divert one train into one section and one train into the other section. So that was kind of fun. You guys would enjoy that, not a lot of people would. So that's pretty much all I have. I know we want to stay on track on the time.